Hi, Tim Tucker here from United Way of Central Ohio Tax Time Training. In this video, we will discuss the Ohio Uniform Services Retirement Income Deduction. In this video, we will cover the following: who qualifies for the deduction, what income qualifies for the deduction, how do we enter the deduction into TaxSlayer, and how is this deduction coordinated with other retirement-based deductions and credits for Ohio. Who qualifies for this deduction? Well, if you're a member of one of the uniform services shown here in this snippet from the IT 1040 instructions, and you are receiving military retirement income, then you are eligible for this deduction. What income qualifies for the deduction? Let's take a look at the two likely sources of income. First is a 1099-R coming from DFAS, the Defense Finance and Accounting Service. When we see such a 1099-R, the taxable amount shown in box 2A can be used for this deduction. The next source of income for this deduction is on a CSA 1099-R from OPM, the Office of Personnel Management. By the way, I believe CSA stands for Civil Service Annuity. OPM handles both military and civil service pensions, so it may be the case that the CSA 1099-R pension covers both military years of service and non-military years of service. So you'll need to get this detail from the taxpayer to determine how to prorate box 2 when calculating the deduction. I've included an example from the IT 1040 instructions, which should make it clearer how to do that. If you do need to prorate box 2A, I recommend that you add a preparer's note to the TaxSlayer return so there's a written record for the taxpayer, and it will be a useful reference for the preparer next year, assuming that the taxpayer brings in a copy of last year's return. How do we enter the deduction into TaxSlayer? It's under State Return, Ohio, Subtractions from Income, Enter Uniform Services Retirement Income. So let's go ahead and run the OPM example that we saw earlier for Joe. The 1099-R is shown here. Ignore the year. It just happened to be a 1099-R that I was able to get off the web. So the taxable amount was $90,000 from the 1099-R. We know that Joe spent a total of 10 years in the Army, then went into the Park Service for 20 years, so he has a total of 30 years. So the prorating ratio that we're going to use is 10 over 30, or 1/3. So the prorated deduction is 1/3 times $90,000 equals $30,000. Let's go ahead and see how that's entered into TaxSlayer. I have gone ahead and entered Joe's 1099-R into TaxSlayer. You can see the taxable amount of $90,000. So I will continue. Say no to the qualified disaster. So now let me go to the state section and edit Ohio and say no to the retirement income credit. Yes, we've verified the address, so we'll continue. And for some reason, it asked me again about the retirement income credit. So we know that this is a subtraction from income. So we're going to hit begin here. And then under subtractions from income, if we scroll down, we see this box for enter uniform services retirement income. So I'm going to enter the $30,000. That's the prorated amount we calculated before. And click continue. And once I exit the Ohio return, it will update the figures on the right-hand side. As I mentioned earlier, whenever we do a prorating like this, it's a good idea to add a preparer's note. So there'll be a record in the return of what we did for the client, as well as for any preparer next year who takes looks at the return from the prior year. So to do that, we go to Federal section, Miscellaneous Forms, Explanations, Preparer Notes. And I've got a note here. I will call the title, the Ohio Uniform Service Retirement Income Deduction, and then the note shows how we did the calculation. We continue, and we're done. When I generate a PDF of the Ohio IT 1040, I can see that my deductions of $30,000 show up. And that, if I scroll down to the schedule of adjustments, you can see where that shows up, uniform services retirement income. How is this deduction coordinated with other retirement-based deductions and credits for Ohio? It follows a general rule for this sort of thing where there is no double dipping allowed. So the amount used for this deduction can't be used for other credits and deductions such as the retirement income credit, lump sum retirement credit, or survivor benefits. However, when we use a prorated amount, as we did in the previous OPM example, there's a part of it that was not used for the uniform services deduction. So that part can still be used for other credits deductions where it applies, such as the Ohio retirement income credit. Thanks for watching. Links to FAQs and useful websites are posted in the description below this video. This video is a complement to our Ohio income tax return adders FAQ, which you'll find in the links below. If you have questions or comments, feel free to leave me a comment on my YouTube channel, or ping me on Slack, or send me email at timmythetaxman@gmail.com.